Guys, do subscribe the Gate Hunt and press the bell icon to receive notifications on latest jobs updates, Gate talks and video lectures on Gate and IES.
Hello guys, so welcome to the 8th lecture of ICT for GS for IES. So today we will be discussing about OSI reference model. So before discussing about OSI reference model, let me tell you what is the reference model. Guys, reference model is a blueprint which shows how data transmission takes place among the sender and receiver. Guys, there are many types of reference model which are ISO-SI reference model, TCP/IP reference model, ATM reference model, and so on. So guys, like this, we have so many reference models in real time. But in order to understand how data transmission takes place between sender and receiver, if we know about ISO-OSI reference model, then we can have a clear-cut idea that how data transmission has taken place between sender and receiver. So that is why we will be focusing only on this ISO OSI reference model. So guys, let's talk about ISO OSI reference model. So here ISO stands for International Standard Organization, whereas OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. So this reference model was introduced by ISO, that is International Standard Organization is an organization which introduced OSI reference model, that is Open System Interconnection Reference Model. And what is a reference model? It is a blueprint which shows how data transmission takes place among sender and receiver. So guys, OSI reference model consists of 7 layers. They are application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So let us talk about these layers individually, starting from bottom, that is from physical layer. Guys, talking about the physical layer, so which type of data does the physical layer of OSI reference model supports? So it supports bits. So we can say that protocol data unit, that is PDUs in physical layer is bits. So this PDU here implies data transmission supported by physical layer. Okay, so either we write PDU or we write data transmission supported, both means same. So data transmission supported by physical layer is bits. Guys, talking about second feature of physical layer, the physical layer can define transmission rate or bit rate or data rate or bandwidth or transmission speed or channel capacity of the channel. So all these terms, that is transmission rate, bit rate, data rate, bandwidth, transmission speed and channel capacity means the same. Guys, generally to define transmission rate, we use this terminology, that is bandwidth. For example, we say that the bandwidth is 10 Mbps or 20 Mbps. So what is this 10 Mbps representing here? It represents that we can transfer 10 MB of data using this network bandwidth. Thus, definition of transmission rate or bit rate or data rate or bandwidth or transmission speed or channel capacity of a channel is number of bits that are transferred per unit amount of time. So that unit time can be anything like minute or second or hours. Guys, one example of this transmission rate can be 10 Mbps. Guys, if you recall Ethernet, then we had classified the Ethernet as standard Ethernet, fast Ethernet and gigabit Ethernet. So the standard Ethernet was providing a bandwidth of 10 Mbps, whereas fast Ethernet used to provide a bandwidth of 100 Mbps, whereas gigabit Ethernet was providing a bandwidth of 1 Gbps. So hence all these terminologies means the same. Therefore, this physical layer can define what is the capacity of the channel, that is how much bits it can transfer from sender to receiver per unit amount of time. Guys, moving on, the third functionality of physical layer is that it defines transmission modes. So as we have already discussed, what are these transmission modes? Transmission modes determines that how the sender and receiver are communicating in a channel. So we have discussed that there are mainly three types of transmission modes, that is simplex transmission mode, half duplex transmission mode and full duplex transmission mode. So this physical layer can define whether sender and receiver are communicating in simplex mode or half duplex mode or full duplex mode. So what is simplex transmission mode? We had discussed that in a simplex transmission mode, consider this is the sender and this is the receiver, then only one-way transmission used to take place. And an example of simplex transmission mode was keyboard monitor interaction. Whereas in case of half duplex transmission mode, two-way transmission was taking place but not at a time. And an example of half duplex transmission mode was walkie-talkie. Similarly, in case of full duplex transmission mode, transmission was taking place in both directions and also at same time. And an example of full duplex transmission mode was telephonic conversation. Guys, moving on, the fourth functionality of physical layer is that it defines that what type of transmission media both the sender and receiver are using to transmit the data. So this transmission media can be classified into two types. First one is the wired and second one is the wireless media. Guys, wired transmission media can also be termed as guided transmission media or connection oriented transmission media. Whereas wireless transmission media can also be termed as unguided or connectionless media. So some examples of wired transmission media are twisted pair, coaxial cable and optical fiber. Whereas examples of wireless transmission media are satellite, infrared, Wi-Fi, etc. So this physical layer can define that which type of transmission media, that is a twisted pair or coaxial cable or optical fiber or satellite or infrared or Wi-Fi is being used by sender and receiver to transmit the data. Guys, coming to the next functionality of physical layer, it defines what type of topology you are using. So as we have studied earlier, that topology defines the physical behavior and the logical behavior of a network. So physical behavior means that how the systems are interconnected, whereas logical behavior means that how the data transmission is taking place among the systems. So guys, based on this physical behavior and logical behavior of a network, in previous classes, we had classified topologies into 6 parts. That is bus topology, ring topology, star topology, tree topology, mesh topology and hybrid topology. So this physical layer is able to define that what type of topology is being used by us. That is either we are using bus topology or ring topology or star topology or tree topology or mesh topology or hybrid topology. Guys, another functionality of physical layer is encoding. So what is encoding? Encoding is the process of converting the data from one form to another, that is from digital to analog. So for example, if we are having a digital information like this 1011, then encoding technique can convert this digital information to analog information, which can be like this. So this is just an example of analog signal. It is not an exact analog signal. So guys, this physical layer is able to encode. That is, it is able to convert the data from digital to analog form. Guys, talking about the next layer of OSI reference model, that is data link layer. The main functionality of data link layer are that the PDUs in data link layer, that is the data format that is supported by data link layer, is frames. Moreover, it can do error control, and data link layer can do flow control, it can do access control, it provides physical address, and it defines node to node delivery. So guys, let us talk about all these functionality in detail one by one. First of all, let us talk about that what does this error control means. Guys, before talking about this error control, let me tell you that what does an error here means. Guys, let us consider that this is the sender node and this is the receiver. So consider that the sender has transferred this data, that is 1001, but the receiver has received the information like this, that is 1000. So this is representing a digital information as 9, which was sent by sender to the receiver, but the receiver received the information as 8. It happened because here this bit is corrupted and has been modified to 0. Therefore, if any changes occurs like 1 changes to 0 or 0 to 1 while data is transferring from sender to receiver, then such type of incident is known as an error. Therefore, due to this error, the entire meaning of this message is violated. So, the message is 9 but it has converted to 8 due to 1 bit corruption of data. Guys, moving on, there are basically two types of errors. First one is single bit error and second one is multi-bit error or burst error. So when changes occurs in only one bit position, that it is known as single bit error. So the example which was just now discussed by us was an example of single bit error. Whereas when changes occurs in more than one bit position, then it is termed as multi-bit error or burst error. For example, this was the signal sent by the sender to receiver, that is 1001, whereas the receiver received the signal as 1010. So here there is a corruption of this bit as well as of this bit. So hence this type of error is termed as multi-bit error. So guys, by the term error control we means that there is error detection as well as there is error correction. So data link layer can do both error detection as well as error correction. Guys, moving on, the next functionality of data link layer which we have discussed right now was that data link layer can do flow control. So what does this flow control means? So it refers to the process of stopping the fast sender from slow receiver. For example, let us say that I keeps on teaching you for 5 to 6 hours because I am a sender and I keeps on sending the data because I have sufficient data about GS for IES. But you people are receiver and you are having some buffer size, and once that buffer size gets filled up, you need some break. Since your buffer size is full and still I am trying to transfer the data, so whatever data you are about to receive will be dropped. So which means that you need some time to refresh your buffer and then you can accept some more data. So this is termed as flow control. So this flow control refers to the process of stopping the fast sender from slow receiver, and it is done by the data link layer in OSI reference model. Guys, moving on, the fourth functionality shown by the data link layer in OSI reference model is that it can do access control. Guys, before talking about what does this access control means, let me tell you that this data link layer consists of two sublayers. Number first is LLC sublayer, which stands for Logic Link Control, and number second is MAC sublayer, which stands for Medium Access Control. Therefore, here we are supposed to discuss about MAC. So guys, what is MAC? From the full form itself, it is clear that here we need some control to access the medium. So guys, when do we need control to access the medium? Let us consider case first, where there is a sender and there is a receiver and there is a medium between them. That is, only one sender and only one receiver are sharing the same channel. And let us consider a second case where multiple senders and multiple receivers are sending a single channel. So where do we need control to access the medium? Naturally, in case 2, let me elaborate it to you with an example. Guys, let us consider a classroom of 50 students. If all those 50 students started talking together, then everyone is acting as a sender. And what about the faculty? Faculty is also a sender and he is trying to transfer some data, but students are busy in their gossips. So this leads to collisions. The faculty is trying to teach or trying to transfer some data and that data will not reach the students. Therefore, students data and faculty data will get collisioned in the network. Therefore, that is why we need some control to access the medium in the second case. Therefore, to avoid the collision, we introduced MAC protocol. Guys, it is the same way as we had discussed in bus topology. In bus topology, what we had discussed that before the introduction of Ethernet, data collision used to take place when two systems are trying to act as a master at the same time. Thus, to avoid this collision, in case of bus topology, we introduced Ethernet. So how is Ethernet avoiding this collision? In Ethernet, we are using a MAC protocol called CSMAC/CD. Guys, what does this CSMAC/CD stands for? That we will discuss in few minutes. So the wired Ethernet or connection Ethernet use CSMAC/CD MAC protocol to avoid data collision when two systems are trying to act as a master at same time. Whereas in case of a wireless Ethernet, MAC protocol used to avoid data collisions is CSMA/CA. So guys, from here we can say that the definition of access control is whenever multiple stations are trying to transfer the data via a single channel, it leads to collision. So to avoid this collision, we introduced MAC protocol. And what is this MAC protocol? It is the protocol which allows multiple users to transfer the data via same channel without any collisions. So guys, in this way, data link layer is able to do access control. Guys, MAC protocols are classified into three types, that is random access or multiple access protocol, controlled access protocol and channelized access protocol. So let us discuss about all these three types of MAC protocols in detail. Guys, in IES 2018, a direct question was asked from this channelized access protocol. So the question was that what does CDMA stands for? So we will discuss about this channelized access protocol later on. First of all, let us discuss about random access or multiple access MAC protocol. So guys, in case of random access or multiple access protocol, if any station has data, it can transfer that data at any time. Example, if you have any doubt, you can directly post that doubt without the permission of any faculty. Or in other words, there is no need to take permission from any master. That is, in case of random access or multiple access protocol, no station is acting as a master station. Hence, we can say that in case of random access protocol, peer-to-peer relationship is followed. Guys, what is this peer-to-peer relationship that we have discussed in earlier lectures when we are talking about different types of relationship between two systems in a topology. There we discussed about master-slave relationship and peer-to-peer relationship. In case of master-slave relationship, there is a need of permission from master to transfer the data. Whereas in case of peer-to-peer relationship, there is no need to take permission from others. Guys, example of random access protocol or multiple access protocol are Aloha, CSMA, CSMA/CD and CSMA/CA. So this CSMA/CD is the MAC protocol used in wired Ethernet to avoid data collisions when two systems are trying to act as a master. Whereas this CSMA/CAH MAC protocol used in wireless Ethernet to avoid data collisions. Guys, we need not to go in detail about CSMA/CD and CSMA/CA. We just need to remember the full form of these two terms for our IES exam. So the full form of CSMA/CD is carrier sense multiple access collision detection, whereas full form of CSMA/CD is carrier sense multiple access collision avoidance. So guys, we will talk about other two types of MAC protocols, that is controlled access MAC protocol and channelized access MAC protocol in our next lecture.
Guys, do hit the like button and do subscribe the Gate Hunt and press the bell icon to receive notifications on latest jobs updates, Gate talks and video lectures on Gate and IES.